Very few people know that I am a connoisseur of fine foods. Not the sort of things that you find in French restaurants, but plain and simple fine foods. And just before you bail out of this thing and cut me off and kick me off your screen, this isn't all about food, this particular talk that I'm going to give you this morning. It's also about golf and also about a lot of other exciting things that you might enjoy. So hang on there right until the end. And while you're hanging in there right until the end, please push the subscribe button. That's very important because that's going to encourage me to carry on doing these things. And if I don't get subscribers, I'm just going to stop, which is also fine. Because I can go and have a drink and go and walk on the beach instead. Anyway, let's get back to this. Some years ago, I went on a golfing tour of Scotland, which was wonderful. And it turned out actually to be a Porridge tour of Scotland. Now, porridge, you might think, oh, what the hell is he talking about, porridge, for heaven's sake? But I mean, porridge is a very important thing. And, 25% of the blood coursing through my veins is Scots. It really is. The other 25% is Irish, which means that, to have porridge with Irish whiskey, that's not a bad idea too. And the rest of the other 50% of my blood is Dutch, and which is why I like cheese. And on the other hand, I'm not keen on that raw fish that they swallow and think that they're enjoying themselves. Anyway, my first port of call on this trip was Gleneagles, and it's a wonderful golf course. It's actually owned by the Irish, believe it or not. And quite honestly, I went down and had their porridge in the morning. I mean, I got all dressed up in Harris tweeds and everything and thinking that this was going to be the wonderful thing that I do. And frankly, I don't think that the chef at Gleneagles Hotel was actually paying attention when it came to, Porridge 101, how to do it. Really and truly, I think all he did was just chuck a handful of porridge into a pot and stir it and serve it up for 15 minutes later. It was very sort of underwhelming. But then I'm not surprised, actually, that the Scots in the hotels in Scotland, the chefs really don't have a clue about porridge because most of them are sort of Spanish or Latvian or something like that anyway. But I have to say that eventually I ended up at the Old Course Hotel in St Andrews. Now, St Andrews is an absolutely wonderful place. The golf course, the Old Course, is rubbish. I mean, let me just show you a few pictures of St Andrews. Now, this is St Andrews. I did that wrong. I got that all wrong. And showed you pictures of my family instead. But look, this is a picture of St Andrews, how you picture it when you actually book to go and play golf there. When you actually arrive there, it looks somewhat different. It's a bit like that, actually. And with this howling wind and everything like that. But it's a wonderful experience. But my goodness me, really, in fact, it's a good track of a golf course. I mean, it's got, it's shared. It's got shared greens. So when you tee off, you're not really sure of what green you're aiming at. It could be the 7th, it could be the 14th, you don't know. And also they're huge greens. And it's a difficult course. It's got 147 bunkers on it, sand bunkers on it, which trap you right, left and centre. And it's where in the olden days people used to look for seashells to actually crush them up and make lime or whatever it is they made out of it. But it really is quite a shocker. Anyway, the Old Course Hotel, wonderful. And my goodness me, do they know how to make porridge. Well, let me tell you something. It doesn't just involve chucking stuff into a pot and boiling it. But it does involve oatmeal, boiling water and salt. I'm going to just read from an article that I wrote some years ago when I got back. But you don't just chuck it and let it boil away. That's like suggesting that a triple bypass operation is just a question of chopping out the heart and sort of doing something with the frilly bits. But anyway, once the water is boiling, you add the oatmeal, and it's added in a thin stream. You don't chuck it in. It's added in a thin stream with the left hand while stirring briskly with the right, with an implement, a wooden implement thingamabob called a spurtle. I'll show you a picture of a spurtle just now. And it's absolutely imperative that the porridge is stirred clockwise, not vice versa. Not vice versa. My goodness me, that is a mortal sin of note to actually stir it anti-clockwise. But anyway, you put it in, and the thing is, it's not just done before breakfast. At the Old Course Hotel, it happens at 4 o'clock the previous afternoon, where the porridge is put in, as I said, added gently, stirred clockwise with a spurtle, and then it's left to sort of bubble away overnight. It sort of bubbles and bubbles and what have you, and this is called, this is so important. I can't emphasize how important it is. It's absolutely vital to make sure it's stirred clockwise, and then it's returned to a brisk boil, and then heat is reduced slowly and uniformly. Then the pot is covered and allowed to simmer for about 15 minutes. After that, the salt is added and stirred as well. And this has all just happened the day before. And then in the morning, it is served. Now, one's got to be careful how you serve Scots porridge. Let me just show you some pictures of what's what here. As soon as I can find my pictures of Scotland, I'll... okay, this here, that is a bowl. There's only one thing wrong with that, and that's it's in the wrong bowl. But there is the porridge. That's what porridge looks like, and there below is that thing called a spurtle. Now, it's very important to know that you don't serve it in a bowl like that. It's supposed to be served in a wooden bowl, standing up, and that comes from the very old, the very old tradition of serving porridge to horsemen as they went out on the hunt early in the morning, and they were given a bowl of a porridge to warm themselves up so that they could go down and hunt whatever they were hunting without freezing to death. And if they had used just ordinary pottery bowls, they would have burnt their hands off. And so that is what porridge looks like. Now, I'm going to tell you something what it doesn't look like. It doesn't actually look like that. That's not porridge. That is an abomination. It is a gourmet abomination. And you really don't want to eat it with all this stuff chucked on it. People throw a whole lot of stuff onto porridge, and it's really not the way to do it. What it does is in the morning when you have it, it's very important. You take some Melodora honey that is actually heated to the point where it's fairly liquid, and you gently pour that over the surface. So it covers the surface of the porridge, and slowly and that's instead of sugar. You don't chuck sugar on porridge. Oh, that's also another abomination, to chuck sugar on porridge. And then what happens is that you take some cream, and it depends where the cattle have been, where the cows have been eating the day before, with the kind of honey the kind of milk that you get. I know that when I lived in France, we could tell exactly where the cows have been grazing because of the taste of the milk. Anyway, you put the cream on, but then most importantly is a tiny little jug of heated Scotch whisky, preferably single malt whisky. You put that on, and then you eat it with reverence. You put your hand, I don't know what happened there, it just went, as I said, you eat it with reverence. Something happened. Some almighty being blanked out my screen. Anyway, so you eat it with great reverence. And that is the story of porridge. And as I said in this article that I wrote before, cretins can, of course, sprinkle sugar onto their porridge, and while that doesn't really affect the taste too much, it is life-threatening and if eaten in the company of true Scots porridge aficionados. No underwear, especially those wearing skulls, no underwear and broadswords. So you've got to be just careful when you're in Scotland and eating porridge in the company of true Scots people, because that's like breaking wind in a cathedral among a whole lot of devout Catholics. It's just something that isn't done. But anyway, that is the story of porridge. I can go on now and tell you the story of golf. The 5 golf courses that we played in Scotland were absolutely amazing, and one can only describe it as a once-in-a-lifetime experience. They are not easy. The wind howls. I can remember playing at the King's Course in Gleneagles and playing a par 3 where I hit the ball into the wind and it came flying back over my head after reaching the green and landed about 25 meters behind me. But anyway, I'm not going to go on about my golf. It is really, really unbelievably depressing. But the porridge and the whiskey were absolutely magnificent.